and welcome to another episode of the On Trade Network sessions. My guest tonight is Chris Wilfred Hughes from Wilfreds, the non-alcoholic aperitif. Welcome, Chris.
Hi there, boss.
Thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate your time, and Chris has kindly sent me over a bottle to try on the call tonight. So I've got that to hand, and I've made myself a spritz. So thank you very much. It'd be great if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and the brand.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Chris Wilfred Hughes, which is where the name comes from originally. Wilfred is sort of my middle name, which didn't have a use until I created the brand. But and effectively I created Wilfreds, which is a non-alcoholic aperitif. So you can imagine the likes of Italian aperitif styles, but with a British take on it. And a British take on what is effectively a spritz. So you mix Wilfred's 1 part Wilfred's, 2 parts tonic to get a spritz, and as you've done over ice, if you've got a slice of orange, perfect, because then you get the whole effect. But yeah, you can serve it up in a tumbler or a wine glass. However, it's effectively a summer drink for those who aren't necessarily looking to have alcohol in their drink.
So so where did the idea come from?
So I've had a lot of, it all started around 2.5 years ago when I had a whole ton of friends who'd come over, but everyone was drinking less and less. A lot of people were driving over, a lot of people were, having kids or pregnant, or they had a big event next day, sort of work, and they just didn't necessarily want the alcohol. But I've got this cabinet at home, filled with sort of gins. You got like 20 types of gins, whiskeys, cognacs, etc. And I'd effectively not have anything to serve them that was non-alcoholic, and I love making drinks at home. So I've got this barrel at home, for example, where I age cocktails. I've got these. I love to make sort of limoncello at home. I've made it from scratch, and iced tea. So I just thought, I'll make a drink for them that is sort of sophisticated adult flavors, but that they can have effectively without feeling like they're missing out on the alcohol. And I turned towards an aperitif, which is one of my favorite types of drinks. If you think of like Aperol spritzes or Campari and soda, those kind of drinks, and it's also because you can get that bittersweet flavor in a non-alcoholic drink that you can't necessarily, that you might be, let's say you take a gin or something like that, you're really taking out about 40% of the alcohol if you're taking, whereas with an aperitif, the dominant flavor is that bittersweet botanical. And so I've used bittersweet orange and rosemary, as well as rhubarb, clove, and some other botanicals to sort of balance it out. But that's how it all started at home. And I actually got a few friends to blind test it, not tell them it was alcoholic. And at one point, one of them said I was going to serve him a 3rd glass, and he was like, "I'd love to, but I've got work next day, and I can't turn up drunk with a hangover." And that's when I thought, actually, this doesn't need to stay at home. This is something that could be bottled and actually has legs to it.
Yeah. So that kind of moderation and low alcohol or alcohol replacement movement is in phenomenal growth in the on-trade now. People wanting to go out, like you say, and have a drink in the same way as you said, when they come to the house, that they want to socialize, but they want to be part of the occasion, but they don't want the alcohol. So I guess that's what you're targeting in terms of that on-trade space is those occasions.
Exactly. It's sort of there's always a point in time, for an alcoholic drink, and I think as well as a non-alcoholic drink. And that's the reality is, just because there was a bit of a sort of a stigma in some ways, some non-alcoholic drinks in the past, but I think we've turned a leaf there, where we are genuinely producing quality non-alcoholic drinks, not just Wilfred's, a lot of other ones out there as well. And but that occasion, where exactly you're in a bar or you're in a restaurant and you just want to be part of that occasion, but you can't drink. A lot of people can't drink because of maybe they're taking medication or otherwise. Some people just don't want to drink, but you don't necessarily want to have just a tonic or just an orange juice. You want a drink that's complex, lots of flavor, and that you can turn into a real cocktail. And I've loved giving this to a few bartenders who've just mixed it, like taken it beyond what I imagined, which is exactly what I hoped would happen. So it's brilliant to get it in the hands of those who know best.
Yeah, and it's you know, I can see it on back bar. I mean, it's great design bottle. You know, I like the name. Obviously,
Cheers.
your middle name, but it tastes great as well. So you know, I can imagine this being a really great alternative, like you say, to an Aperol, or
Mm.
it's got that complexity to it. It's got a nice bit of bitterness to it as well. So yeah, no, very good. So what's the plan? What are you going after?
Yeah, so I actually launched. I always designed this for on trade very much. So design it. You know, it's a bottle. It's made to stand out on the bar.
Yeah,
It's made to very clearly look like an aperitif. So you know, so bartenders know what to do with it and how to start sort of imagining new drinks with it. But it was also designed, you know, for restaurants as well. You know, you've got a quick, easy cocktail that you can make. 1 part Wilfreds, 2 parts tonic, done. So you got the splits, and it's there to be had. Um, but the next step, but the reality is we launched in the middle of sort of pandemic number one. So so you know, back in May, yeah, around. I mean, working on it for about a year behind the scenes before then, but actually launched in July, actually July last year, with first production run around May. So it was yeah, it was a long process, but launching into, you know, on trade wasn't possible. So it was all online, all retail, which has been really positive. And it was great to see that actually people love this drink, irrelevant of whether they knew about it. They were just excited by having something that they could understand the concept of and drink. So the next step is very much now that on trade is opening.
yeah,
That's our focus, and that's where we want to bring Wilfreds.
yeah. And talking about that little thing that we talk about every week, the global pandemic. You know, that small issue that's been a bump in the road for all of us, and in the industry. What
Yeah.
did that? Because I've heard conflicting stories, or I've heard different views from people on what the pandemic did for them in terms of business. Some people obviously struggled. Others, it gave them the space to create.
Mm.
So, so what were the challenges for you during the pandemic? Did you get everything away that you wanted to? Did it give you the time and the space, or was it a real hindrance?
Well, I think because I launched in it, I kind of, you know, I almost pivoted. I always think about it. I pivoted before I even started, you know. So my focus had always been on trade, but the few early conversations I had with on trade was that they were actually more important things than bringing on new products at that point in time. You know, just staying alive was the key thing, however they could. So for me, it changed my plans a lot. I had to focus on what was good is I could focus on the branding, and I could focus on starting to create a community online with social media, and people who really enjoyed, you know, sort of a base as well, which is people who enjoy this drink at home, not just out and about. And actually, that's created quite a loyal following, which has been, you know, for me, it's actually for our business has been actually really quite positive. Now I am very much hoping to be able to take it from in home to out of home again. I think, you know, the opportunity is there again, but it did. You're right. It did give us space. It was an. I would say I would have, as a brand, we would have probably missed a trick in thinking that online wasn't an avenue, when actually it's an incredibly strong one, especially in the non-alcoholic sector where people don't necessarily know where to get it yet. Um, so online is always a great place to reach out to those specific buyers who are looking for it.
Yeah, I think a lot of I've spoken to a lot of brand owners over the last few months who always dealt in on trade, you know, kind of really well established, but never really got time to focus on that direct to consumer piece. You know, that you know, the online sales, and you know, and maybe some shops and whatnot, who kind of had to pivot, like you say, and you know, had to flex their model because they wanted to sell units and keep their businesses alive. And as a result, it really has given them the opportunity to that test bed of direct to consumer, which then generates a lot of interest for you when you actually do go into the on
Exactly.
trade. So you know, people will know your brand more, which gives it like a little bit more credibility, I guess, doesn't it?
Absolutely. That's exactly it. So it's when people go out and about, and you know, I've had a few emails come through, sort of people requesting it at their pubs or at their restaurants, or and that feels great because you know you've hit a customer that wants it, and plus they like to go out and have a drink, and they want it when they're going out, and that's exactly it. You're kind of connecting those two parts, which before I think were really quite segmented. You know, it was either at home or in the bar, but now it's creating brand awareness across both.
Yeah, well, good luck with it. I genuinely hope
Cheers.
every success for you. There's definitely a market now for that kind of non-alcoholic alternative in a long drink serve, and exciting mocktail opportunities, and people wanting something other than just a soft drink on a night out when they want to moderate. So, and I think it's not just about people who don't drink, full stop. It's about people who do drink and do like to have a good time with alcohol, but there are times where you want to moderate and still want to go out and socialize with friends. So
Exactly. Yeah.
there's less of a stigma attached to that now, which is great. I'm sure we'll see more to come. So what's next for you?
What's next? Good question. Just on that last point, I couldn't agree more. I mean, me personally, when I go out now, I used to drink a lot, but I had to just cut down for health reasons and other reasons, and I just cut down a lot. I still like to have a drink out. But what I tend to do now is actually occasionally I'll mix in just one good non-alcoholic cocktail in there, one or two to mix to break it up, and then it just I feel fine the next morning. I haven't overdone it, and it doesn't. I don't notice a difference. So I mean, yeah, for me, I completely understand what you mean about moderation. I think that is a nice, good way forwards for many of us. But what's next? Yeah, good question. So we will be hoping to expand the brand, absolutely expand into new flavors, new types of drinks as well, potentially different formats. So I would say at the moment everything's in the R&D development phase, which is a very much an exciting place to be for me. I find that's where I really get all my energy from. But we're hoping to launch potentially in a new format, the drink in about 3 months time. So that'll be exciting, and I'll keep you updated on new flavors and which will be coming out hopefully next year.
Yeah, well, all the best of luck. Like I say, it's a great product. I think it's great standout for back bar. When you walk in, it's quite visual. We're all visual people, aren't we? So you kind of, that first taste is with the eye, I guess, if that's not
exactly.
That's it looks great, it tastes great, and I genuinely wish you all the very best of success with it.
Thank you very much, Ross. It's been great speaking with you.
And you, mate, and you. Take care.
Cheers. Take care.